Hi, I'm Ashley Carlin. I am a pediatric occupational therapist. I work in a hospital. I'm a mom to two preschool age kids. And that's a little bit about me.
Love it, love it. And so, obviously you did the 12-week Metabolic Momma Method. Um, Before doing our program, like where were you mentally and physically?
That's a great question. So I have been pregnant and or breastfeeding for 5 years. And I still am my almost 3-year-old. And working and COVID and all that stuff. So I, prior to having kids, was pretty active. I ran a couple marathons. I was a dancer in college. Um, and just after having kids, I kind of shifted to not having time to do any of those things. I also, sleep is an issue in our household. So I've just been like tired and devoting my life
Yeah,
to other people for the last 5 years.
yeah, absolutely. So there's been like obviously with your kids having sleep issues, and then you just working full time. You're probably pretty tired. Was what I guess, like, how were you able to use this program, in a way that was conducive to seeing results, but with all the time constraints you had?
Yeah. So I think one of the best things for me personally with the program is because we're so focused on like wake up in the morning. Well, this was my routine, like wake up in the morning and weigh yourself, try to be thoughtful about planning your meals in advance and those kinds of things. I was able to take it day by day so that if one day was more challenging than the next, it didn't feel like I've done all this hard work and I feel defeated. It was like, okay, today was rough, but I planned out tomorrow and maybe it will go better.
Right.
And that actually was really helpful. And then my coach also would be like, okay, well, people mess up. That's okay. You don't have to be perfect. Just like, what could you do next time to make it better if you find yourself in that situation?
Absolutely. And doing that thinking of like, what could I do next time? What was that like for you? And what kind of, what kind of routines or preparation were you able to establish that were helpful for you?
I think over time I have gotten better about planning out nutrition. I will say for me, that was probably the most challenging, but also most beneficial part of this program was
Yeah,
the nutrition.
for
Um,
sure. And
because
yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, because in the past, like I've been in really great exercise routines in the past. Even like since my kids were born, there have been times when I would focus on that and then I'd go all out and I would burn out.
Yeah,
I'd do like 3 weeks, I'm going to work out like 6 days a week. And then after that, I'm exhausted, or there's one day where it doesn't go as expected. And again, it's like I felt so defeated. Like my hard work isn't worth it anymore because it didn't happen
yeah,
today.
absolutely. So you kind of had that mentality pre-program of like, if it's not perfect or if I miss a day, whatever, I'm just gonna stop doing it for a little bit.
Kind of sad to
So
admit, but yes.
yeah, and so you're doing that, and then kind of maybe give me a breakdown of like what you were doing nutrition and exercise wise before you started the program with us.
So, exercise wise, going through phases where I'd be great about working out for a while and then stop for whatever reason. Nutrition wise, I feel like I would also go through phases. I don't know, it's interesting because actually when COVID hit, we did start to do a lot more cooking at home than we had done before, but I just don't think I was thoughtful about like portion control.
Mhm.
Even things like with this program, okay, my kids love peanut butter pretzels. They're always in the house. Well, instead of like sitting down with a bag and grabbing a handful, it's not like I can't eat them, but at least now I might look like, oh, what have I eaten today? What are my goals? And take out what I'm going to eat in advance.
Yeah.
And it sounds so simple, but I wouldn't have done that in the past.
Right, right. And so you were able to still kind of like live your life and have
Yeah, for
food
sure.
that the kids were eating if you want a little snack here and there, but you were just able to look at it in a different way and fit everything into, your overall goals and structure for the day.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's very cool. And what were you doing exercise wise before this? Were you just you said you were kind of just starting and stopping stuff or?
Yeah, I've always been into either running or walking, and I happen to have been taking a lot of courses to advance myself professionally. So I would, I would like watch and listen to them as I go for long walks
Yeah.
before. That's always been, and like hiking and stuff like that. And then during COVID, I would go through phases where I would try to do like whatever free workout videos were available on
Yeah.
Amazon,
Yeah.
that kind of stuff.
Okay, cool. Right on.
Again, start and stop, start and
Start and
stop.
stop. Got it. Okay, but you were like, you were doing something, and then nutrition was, the biggest benefit you said you were getting from this program,
Yeah.
specifically like from the preparation of things and just the portion control and all that. Obviously I hit you up to do the program, right?
Yes.
What were like your biggest hesitations about doing a program like this?
I think feeling like I could fully commit before I knew what was actually not expected, but before I knew what the program was going to look like. You see like 12-week program and you're like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to eat anything. I'm going to have to work out 6 days a week. I'm going to have to do all these things. Like there's just no way that would fit into my lifestyle. And that was not what the program was at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that was kind of like in your head. I think a lot of moms specifically, because you're limited on time. It's hard enough to prioritize yourself, and then you're thinking, oh, if I do this, it's going to be like way harder than what I had been doing on my own past. But typically, it's like everyone's doing too much before, and we kind of step back. And so, what does your workout routine look like now? What does your nutrition look like now?
Oh, it depends. It depends on the week. I always plan to get in at least 3 Zoom workouts, but because of various things that have come up in life, that hasn't happened. But I try to do the 3 Zoom workouts a week.
Mhm.
I definitely hit my steps 6 days a week. And then on the days where I was hoping to get a Zoom workout or something like that in, one thing I never would have done in the past that I do now is even if I can capture like 10 minutes, I might do like a random Fitbit workout for 10 minutes because it makes a difference.
Huge. And just like going in from that all in, all out, like if I don't get a workout and I'm just not gonna do anything, to a place where like if I don't get a workout in, I'm just gonna do a little bit of something, like maybe 10 or 15 minutes. That's a huge win.
Yeah, it
That's
is. And the other thing too that I've been doing, hold on, my husband's coming in. I'm on Zoom with Dylan talking about his program. uh, one thing that I never would have done in the past, and actually Daniel has been so amazing about this, is on a weekend, I feel like it's hard. My spouse is working all the time to like ask for extra time on the weekend, but I have been able to, he knows what my goals are. Like, can you just take the kids to the park or to your parents' house for an hour so I can do this Zoom workout?
Yeah, that's great.
Helpful.
And it's so good to have your husband on the same page, or significant other, or anyone, and totally support you and help you out with the goals, right? In terms of keep freeing time up so you can do what you want to do. What did you try before this program, and how did it work?
What did I try before? Oh, it's so hard to think about, with the last 5 years have been so crazy. I think just like being more thoughtful about eating, but again, not paying attention to portion control. And like I was mentioning, like trying to focus on getting in workouts, but not thinking about the fact that that wasn't enough.
Yeah.
Right. Or that I would be overdoing it and burnout.
Right. Okay, got it. And what do you feel like? What do you feel like your biggest struggle before starting this program? What was the thing that you were struggling with the most?
Having a routine that was sustainable.
Yeah.
That's definitely what it was.
Absolutely. And so how has this routine given you sustainability? Like, take me through like your week in terms of your exercise, your training, your recovery, all that.
So I try to meal plan, which I had kind of done in the past, but now it's more specific to what my goals are. So I try to figure out as a family, because we eat dinner together most nights, like what are we going to eat for the week? And then if I have the dinners planned, then it helps me fill in the other slots for myself. Um, so that's been really helpful. And then with workouts, I try on the days that I'm not working to
Yeah,
get them in if I can, because I'm just too tired
for
on the
sure.
other days. But on the days that I do work, I will at least try to take the dog for extra walks. Or
Yeah.
we have like a nice loop in our neighborhood that has a little hill that's like 3/4 of a mile. So be like, okay, if I can do 2 extra little walks of just that loop, I'll hit my step goal for the day.
Absolutely. That's
Yeah.
great. And it's so cool that you've been able to like scale back your workouts, increase your steps with like getting the dog out, getting the dog some exercise, maybe going with the family. But
Oh,
also
I
just
forgot to mention, I also walk my kids to school in their stroller on the days that I can.
huge. That's so great. Yeah. And it's like that. And then just having the preparation, has that given you more time, more freedom, less stress? Like, what's that look like for you?
It does give me more time because then also if we've planned in advance, like for example, I've been working a little bit more the last couple of weeks. If we already know what we're eating for the week, if my husband gets home first, I could tell him like this is exactly what I was planning to cook. Can you do it? Or like things like that. Or with grocery shopping, we can share the list and one of us go because we know exactly what is on there and it takes less time.
Yeah, 100%. That's so cool. And tell us about your results in the 12 weeks that you've seen with the program.
So in the 12 weeks, I believe I was down 8 or 9 pounds, but like the body composition change was
I
crazy
know.
for
Yeah.
me. Like crazy. My husband noticed, my best friend noticed, like my clothes weren't fitting anymore. Um, and like one of the biggest wins was we had a baby shower that I needed a dress for. And I was like, oh man, I'm not going to have anything. And I looked in the closet. I'm like, oh, I can wear this dress that I wore to my best friend's like wedding related activity the week before my wedding. And I was like, that feels good.
That's awesome. That's huge.
Well, I'm like, yeah, it's crazy because my body's different because I've had 2 kids, but even like the way that I feel I look now compared to like my marathon running days is different. And it's because of the nutrition, 100%.
For sure. 80% of this is all nutrition, right? And it's like, obviously the toning, it's the workouts, but the fat loss and the body recomposition, that's all nutrition. And yeah, your pictures look insane. And so for you guys listening out there, like, Ashley came in and I know your number one goal wasn't necessarily like to lose a lot of weight because you didn't have that much to lose. You have some body fat you wanted to lose and tone up. And it's cool that that was like the biggest change you saw in everything fitting differently. You being able to fit back into your pre-wedding dress. It's
Clothes,
so
yeah.
cool. That's huge. What would you tell yourself if you could go back in time, and talk to the Ashley that it was just about to start the program? What would you tell her?
Well, you can do it. I would definitely say you can do this. And give yourself some grace, like one day at a time, just like everything else in life, and like accept that things are not going to go the way that you want to all the time. And you can pivot and adjust and say, it's okay, I'll do better tomorrow.
Yes, absolutely. And that's the biggest, result we're looking for to get with all our clients. And that, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be this strict, like, thing that you have to execute perfectly. And if you miss a workout, it's like it's scrapped. We want to make it so flexible that just fits into your life. And if you get derailed, you learn and you just make an adjustment next time. It's not supposed to be perfect. And that's great that you had that experience.
Yeah, it's been wonderful.
Absolutely. Someone who is looking to do the program and maybe they're just not ready to commit, what would you tell someone in that position? A mom.
Yeah, a mom in that position. Well, first of all, if you can imagine fast forwarding and transforming just where you prioritize yourself in your life, like how good it feels to know that you can do this for yourself. But I personally don't feel like it was at the expense of my family at all. It's like the nutrition that benefits everybody, and then like a couple hours a week for, Zoom workouts, that really isn't taking that much away from anyone else. And then you get to feel great and set a great example for your children and your family.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I
that's
think,
great. Yeah, and I agree. It's like the example that you set. You're taking time for yourself
yeah,
to better yourself and your health. The kids are picking up on that.
for sure.
Have you seen them pick up on anything with your exercise or with your nutrition in a healthy way?
Um, I'm trying to think. So I don't know if they've really noticed any changes in our nutrition because, like I said, well, I guess this will take me back. So one of my biggest holdups at the beginning that you and I talked about was, in my household, it's so important to me that there's no example of like diet culture
Yeah,
or talking about like our bodies in that way. Our kids, from the day they started eating solids, have always had like the same foods that we do.
yeah,
I was worried about like, wow, if I'm going to be more thoughtful about exactly what amount of food I'm going to have in each category, how is that going to look? But it helped me to plan my day better.
yeah.
And so I think they just got maybe exposure. We tried a lot of new recipes that have been healthier and probably even more flavorful and tasty than some of the things we would have eaten in the past. My husband has commented on that. I'm trying to think. I mean, I've had more energy to play with them, so I'm sure
Yeah.
that's been a difference for them. Trying to think what else. Did I miss anything that you asked?
No, that was perfect. Just in terms of like the energy that you gained playing with your kids, and just what they've been able to not necessarily pick up on, and maybe I mean like, but they're trying a bunch of new foods now, and they see mom a lot more energetic, and just healthier and happier, I'm sure. So that's cool without having to do like a crazy diet or
No.
restrict anything. On this program, you guys can eat any foods that you want as long as like it fits into the overall picture of your portions, so we can keep the energy balanced.
Exactly.
That's
I was
cool.
I was gonna say actually another bonus, just because for us we've been cooking more at home, is I think we've actually spent way less on groceries and way less food waste because we've been so thoughtful about what our family was going to be consuming for the week.
100%. Just to have that food and not let it go to waste, or have too much, or even have too little and then have to re-up and buy more than you need. uh,
Correct.
yeah, I think planning is so good in terms of just like, obviously you have a plan, it's easier to execute, but also just in terms of finances, it saves a ton of money.
Yeah.
Great. Anything you want to add about your coach, your experience with the program, anything at all?
My coach has been amazing. She is super supportive. I always feel like sometimes it's hard when you have somebody to be accountable to. You're like, oh man, I'm gonna let them down. And like sometimes like, oh, I'm embarrassed to admit this. But she has said things like, I've been there before. Like, and it's all about not being perfect, but figuring out how to do better next time. She's been so supportive. She'll give me advice. Like if I like this last week, she was like, I noticed this in your food blog. Like, why don't you try tweaking this one thing for tomorrow? And just been super supportive. I had a lot of unexpected things happen in the 12 weeks. I was mentioning we got stuck on an extended vacation. My kids were homesick a bunch when I expected to like either be working or have them be at school and I'd be home. I took a board exam like last week, just all these stressful events. And I feel like when it would have been really easy to throw in the towel because she was there, I was able to stay motivated,
Yeah, 100%.
even if it wasn't perfect.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. Love that. Love
Yeah.
that. Very cool. Well, thank you so much for hopping on. I appreciate
Thanks,
you so much.
Dylan.
As a client, as a friend, as doing the program. I think it's just so cool. And yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I really, really appreciate you. It's been life changing. So Thanks for encouraging me.